Hello and welcome to Government with Dr. Turner. Today we will describe the role that law plays in a democratic society. Freedom and liberty are nearly impossible to attain in a society filled with disorder. Authoritarian governments bring order to society through force. Subjects in authoritarian regimes must comply with government directives. This may achieve order and security in society, but there's no liberty for the people. Individual freedoms do not exist in a world such as this. Citizens in a democracy have freedoms and liberties, but how can a free society provide order? According to Thomas Hobbes and John Locke, the primary function of law is to provide security, order, and predictability in life. Laws provide security for people and their property. This includes protecting you from harm and making sure that your property is protected against theft or damage by others. Laws provide predictability. Without a predictable future, we could not make plans for our future lives. We could not count on even being able to attend school or visit a store without some measure of predictability. Laws provide conflict resolution through neutral third parties known as courts. Instead of settling our disputes with violence or a display of power, we can turn to a neutral third party and have our situation considered and resolved. Laws also enforce conformity to society's values. This may not always be agreeable with everyone, especially if you don't agree with some values of society. Let's take a closer look at the courts. Courts decide cases by hearing the facts on both sides of a dispute and applying the relevant law or principle to the facts. Courts occupy a unique position in our society because they have authority over the citizens and over the government. The essence of the rule of law is that government officials are judged by the same laws as the citizenry. Courts are compelled to maintain neutrality and impartiality in deciding disputes. The legal system of the United States is based on a system developed in Great Britain. It is largely a common law tradition with elements of the civil law tradition. American court cases fall under two broad categories of law: criminal law and civil law. Criminal law deals with harm to society, whereas civil law involves harm to individuals. Criminal law is the branch of law that defines crimes and determines punishment for criminal acts. Criminal law deals with cases in which the government charges an individual with violating a statute that has been enacted to protect public health, safety, morals, or welfare. In criminal cases, the government is always the plaintiff, the party that brings a complaint in court, and alleges that a criminal violation has been committed by a named defendant, the one against whom a complaint is brought. Punishment for these offenses involves fines and sometimes imprisonment. The violation of civil law is called a tort. Civil cases involve disputes among individuals, groups, corporations, and other private entities, or between such litigants and the government. Defendants in civil law cases may, if liable, be expected to pay monetary damages, but they cannot be fined or sent to jail. In civil law, if an individual has caused damage or loss to another, the defendant is expected to make that person whole again. In our society, we believe this can be accomplished with a monetary award to the one harmed, the plaintiff, paid for by the one who caused harm, the defendant. Courts apply laws and legal precedents in deciding both civil and criminal cases. Precedents are prior cases whose principles are used by judges to decide current cases. To judge a case today, we look to see how a similar case was judged in the past. The Latin phrase stare decisis references American courts' respect for precedents. The doctrine of stare decisis requires courts to follow authoritative prior decisions when ruling on a case. Laws whose actual content defines what we can and cannot legally do are substantive laws. Laws that govern how the courts operate are procedural laws. Laws passed by legislative bodies like Congress or state legislatures are statutory laws. Laws or regulations established by bureaucratic agencies on behalf of Congress are known as administrative laws or regulations. Let's review. According to Thomas Hobbes and John Locke, the primary function of law is to provide security, order, and predictability in life. The legal system of the United States is based on a system developed in Great Britain. The Latin phrase stare decisis references American courts' respect for precedents. Criminal law deals with harm to society, whereas civil law involves harm to individuals. Laws or regulations established by bureaucratic agencies on behalf of Congress are known as administrative laws or regulations.